Hello everybody, Bill Platt again, and I'd like to comment real quickly on the quality of the video. It's not that I'm working right now off of a $10 camera. When I get set up at my new house, I'm going to have an HD camera. So video quality will go up eventually, but for now I'm not worried too much about video quality. And I wanted to bring that up because people have mentioned it before. So with this channel, I'm more worried about content rather than video quality. So, with this channel, I'm going to be covering everything from conceiving your book idea to writing your book to publishing your book to promoting your book after it's published. And so I'm going to do a whole bunch of videos to cover the different topics that are important to struggling authors, and also for authors who are published but are not seeing the kind of sales they want to see from their books. So that's what I'm going to be doing on this channel, and for right now I'm not going to worry about video quality. So let's focus on the content instead of the videos. And so in this video I want to talk to you about writing speed, your commitment to your task. Now most writers I talk to, hopeful writers, struggling writers, the goal is to get to the point where they're making $500 to $2,000 a month from their writing. And so for them, everything is a struggle to get to that point where they're making $500 consistently every month, or they're making $2,000 consistently every month. And some people are just wanting extra money to be able to do those things with their family that they can't do right now, like going out to dinner or maybe even making an extra car payment. And some people are looking to replace their current income or supplement their retirement income. So for most people, we're looking at $500 to $2,000 a month consistently. And so here a few years ago, I'd written a product, and I apologize, it's raining outside. I created a product called 72-Hour Nonfiction Books. And when I released that, in the guide itself, and if you're interested in that product, you can Google it. It's on a website called NF Bullets, meaning nonfictionbullets.com. You can find it on that website. It's called 72-Hour Nonfiction Books. And so in that guide, I talked about how you organize your writing processes before you begin writing. Because if you know where you're going with your story, then it's a lot easier to develop that story more quickly. And at the time when I released it, one particular person kind of stood out because she said that 72-Hour Nonfiction Books makes sense if Bill is writing it, because we know Bill can write that. He can write a nonfiction book in 72 hours, but probably nobody else on the planet can. And I dispute that. And I dispute that because I'm lazy, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's not that I am, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I do work hard, and I do work a lot of hours, and I do produce a lot of stuff, but I think back to, I look back on my week, and I'm like, damn, I could have done so much more. So that's what it comes down to. I could have done so much more than what I've done. I could have produced a lot more if I didn't screw off as much as I screw off, okay? So, with the 72-hour nonfiction, the argument, people kept making the argument that Bill can write a book in 72 hours, but none of the rest of us can. And that's just, I don't think that's true. And I think it comes down to persistence, willing to do the work, and commitment to your task. And let me explain to you what that means when I say that. When I first got started making money online with my writing was back in 2001. So I was able, and unfortunately I got a train coming, so I'm going to put you on pause real quick. Here at my temporary office, I'm located one block from the railroad tracks. So every about hour or so, they're coming through here blaring their horns. So I put people on pause when I hear the train coming. And once I get set back up at my new house, that's not going to be an issue anymore for me. But anyway, a lot of people kept saying, well, Bill Platt can write a book in 72 hours, but nobody else can. And if you go into any writing group where a lot of book authors gather, you will hear the same story over and over again, that anything written fast cannot be good. And I dispute that. And I dispute that because I write fast and I write good, and people really enjoy what I'm able to produce, even though I may not spend as much time writing as they think I ought to spend writing. When I did the 72-hour nonfiction, if I recall correctly, that was like a 20,000 word book, and I produced it in less than 72 hours. So, and that wasn't when I produced it in less than 72 hours. In my case, it wasn't 72 hours writing time. It was 72 hours, including sleep, and playing with the kids, and taking out the trash, and making dinner, and everything else that goes along with life, okay? So I was able to produce that in 72 hours. But the reason I was able to produce it so quickly is because I understood the story I wanted to tell, and I understood how I was going to lay everything out because I mapped it out as an outline before I began, okay? And in that particular case, I wrote the primary in about 36 hours, the actual document. And then I sent it over to a couple friends for review, and Britt, leave it to Britt, she found questions that she had that I didn't answer in the actual training, and she's like, well, could you elaborate on this? Well, yeah, I could. So I ended up adding an extra chapter to the book, and that's the only reason it carried over into the third day of production. I added a extra chapter to it, which made it a phenomenal package. And I don't remember the exact word count. I'm just guesstimating about 20,000 words. So here's the way it breaks down as far as I'm concerned. It depends on how much time you invest in your writing. Now, I'm not a fiction writer, so I can't say whether the same techniques apply to writing fiction. But I can say I do know people who write fiction fast. It's not me. I write nonfiction, okay? But I do know people who write fiction fast. And one of my lady friends, she writes cozy mysteries, and she does full-length novels, about 40 to 50,000 words per book, and she produces those in just 3 weeks. So in her case, she's producing roughly 15,000 words a week. And let me go ahead and break that down for you. Now, bear in mind that when I graduated high school, I could only type 35 words a minute. Now I can do about 80 words a minute. But let's stick with the 35 words a minute scenario. That's going to be roughly 2,000 words an hour if I can produce at the speed I type. If we break it down on the roughly 80 hours or 80 words a minute I can do right now, theoretically I could produce 3,000 to 4,000 words an hour, okay? And the reality is I generally do 700 to 1,000 words an hour when I'm producing, okay? And let's just say I'm exceptional. I have talents and skills nobody else has. I don't believe that, but let's just say that's true. So if I can do 1,000 words an hour, and let's just round it off and say I can do 750 words an hour. If I can commit myself to work 4 hours a day, that means I'm able to produce 3,000 words a day. Okay? And if I give myself 5 days a week at 4 hours a day, then I can produce 15,000 words an hour, or 15,000 words a week. And suppose I dedicate myself for 3 weeks just to writing, then I could potentially produce, working 4 hours a day, 45,000 words in just 3 weeks. Just like my lady friend does with her cozy mysteries, okay? And that's Leanne Dobbs, if you want to go look at her work. She does fine work. And you can go through there and maybe you decide that, oh well, that's not good writing, but I think it is. So you can go look at her work and then bear in mind that she writes those books in 3 weeks' time. Okay? So if she can do it in 3 weeks' time, certainly you could, right? But you can't. And part of it comes down to maybe you have a full-time job, okay? And maybe that full-time job you're working 8 to 5, and then you got kids at home. And so when I first got started making money online, I actually have a full-time job too. And at that time I was working 40 hours a week, and then I came home and did my business thing, and within a few months I was able to quit my job. But it didn't last. It was built on a loose foundation. And I lost some customers in June of 2002, and I had to go back to work. And the first job I had when I went back to work, I was working 40 hours a week. And then starting in 2003, I took another job where I was working 60 hours a week. 60. And during the Christmas season is retail sales. So during the Christmas season, I was working 80 hours a week. Okay? But even when I was working 80 hours a week, I still found time to come home at the end of the day and work on my online business. And even then it was focused around writing, because I was doing ghostwriting for other people. Okay? So I still found several hours at the end of each day to do writing. And that's how I built my business, was doing writing. Now, when I came home at 9 o'clock at night, I played with the kids, I had dinner, I went in and took a shower, I sat down in front of the TV for an hour, and then I got on my computer and started typing. And I would generally work until 1 a.m., sometimes 2 a.m., then get back up at 7 a.m., get the kids ready for school, get them out the door, get breakfast, get ready for work, and then go back to my job, okay? So in those days, I was putting in a whole lot of hours, and that comes down to commitment. How committed are you to becoming a successful writer, okay? And most people tell me they only need $500 a month or $2,000 a month, either to supplement their job or to replace their job, okay? Or to supplement their retirement. Whatever the goal, you've got to put a number on that, and then aim for that target number. And aim for consistency in that target number. Now, when I sit down to write, I haven't had a job since 2005. So, in most weeks, I produce 5,000 or 10,000 words. In some weeks, I produce 20,000 words. In some weeks, I produce 30,000 words. And it just comes down to commitment. How committed are you to your task? If I'm doing 750 to 1,000 words an hour, and I commit 30 hours to writing, I could potentially, that puts me around the range of 22 to 30,000 words. If I work a full 40 hours a week writing, that puts me in the target of 30 to 40,000 words a week. So theoretically, I could produce a novel a week. But I got other things I do. I don't just write all the time. There's other things I do to assist my business, and I spend way too much time on Facebook, and I spend way too much time playing Candy Crush, and I spend way too much time on Skype talking to friends, okay? And then I also do computer programming, and I do website design, and so I've got a wide range of stuff I'm doing. Writing, sales, copy, whatever the case may be, okay? So if you are half the man I am, and you can only do 500 words an hour, or let's just say I'm Superman, I'm phenomenal. I don't believe that, but let's just say I'm phenomenal, and I'm 4 times faster than everybody on the planet, and you can only produce 250 words an hour. How much, if you can give yourself 4 hours a day for writing, or let's just say 2 hours a day for writing, at 250 words an hour, you can produce 500 words in a day. And then you do that 5 days a week. Now you're at 2,500 words a week. And if you're writing a 40,000 word book, you shouldn't need more than 16 weeks to write a single book. A single full-length novel. Which, if you go back and look at Stephen King, that's about what he produces. He does 3 to 4 novels a year. Okay? So, I can just imagine Stephen King at the computer henpecking to do 250 words an hour and only spending a couple hours a day writing. Right? Of course, there's a lot of thought pattern that goes into creating a great fiction story. But if you know where you're going with your storytelling, it's pretty straightforward to do. Okay? So, if your goal is to make $500 a month consistently, or maybe your goal is to make $2,000 a month consistently, it comes down to how many books do you need to produce to get there? And so, there's a conversation I had with a friend of mine, Willie Crawford, back probably about 10 years ago. I asked him, I looked at myself, what I was doing, and I was doing fairly well. Then I looked at him, and he's doing exceptionally well. He's like a rock star, right? And I asked him, I said, Willie, what is it you're doing that maybe I'm not doing? How is it you're making so much more money than I am making? I think I work just as hard as you do, but why is it you're making more money than me? And it came down to 3 words. More buy buttons. And he explained it to me. He says, I create more products, giving people more ways to buy from me. And that really stuck with me. And so these days, in some weeks I'm doing a 40,000 word book, and some weeks I'm doing 5,000 word books, and some weeks I'm doing 1,000 word books. And here's the beautiful thing about that, doing especially nonfiction. You can do the same with fiction, of course, but if what people are looking for in nonfiction is a problem solution, you've got a problem, I have a solution. And a lot of those solutions don't need to be really elaborate. You do not need elaborate answers to most people. They don't, when they have a problem, they want somebody who can tell them quickly what the solution is and not make them drone on for 40 hours reading a big long book. They do not need to know all the intricacies of the subject matter that you're talking about. They just need to know the answer to their problem. They have a question, you have an answer. They just want the answer. They want it as quickly as possible without a lot of fluff. And if you can do that, and I can do it with nonfiction in a lot of cases, in 1,000 or 2,000 words. If I can take somebody's question and write up a 2,000 word response to it and put it in book format and put it up on the Amazon Kindle, now I have a Kindle Short. A 2,000 word Kindle Short. Average, I'm guessing 250 words a page. So we're talking, what, 8 pages? A book with 8 pages in it? Which means it can be read 1 to 11 minutes, which is the shortest category in Kindle Short Reads. If I could do that, and let's just say, let's look back at it and say, okay, I can type 750 words an hour, and I've got a 2,000 word book. How long does it take me to write that? Oh, about 3 hours. Okay? And we're assuming that I'm 4 times faster than you. So it took me 3 hours to write a 2,000 word book. It's going to take you 12 hours to write a 2,000 word response. Okay? But even 12 hours, if you can commit yourself to working 2 hours a day, you can produce that book in 6 days. And maybe you can only work 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. It's going to take all of this week and part of next week to write your book. And then to upload it to Kindle. And to put a cover on it. And once you've done that, you've got a buy button. One buy button. Okay? And then if you can do the same thing next week. And produce one more buy button. And then the week after that, another buy button. And then at the end of 52 weeks, you'll have 52 buy buttons. Probably closer to 48 buy buttons. Or 40, let's just say 40. Maybe you got 40 buy buttons on Amazon Kindle at the end of 1 year. How many of those books do you need to make a whole lot of money? If your goal is to make $500 a month, right? So you got 40 buy buttons for people to choose from. And maybe some people will buy more than one of your books. They'll buy 2 or 3 of your books. Because once you've answered one question for them, and they like your answer, then they trust you to answer another question, right? So somebody might buy 2 or 3 books from you. And then other people just buy one. But you got 40 buy buttons after 1 year. Now let's just say, just for the sake of an example, if your average book averaged $20 a month in earnings in book royalties, and you got 40 of them, that's $800 a month, right? After 1 year, you could have $800 a month coming your way. And let's just say, well, maybe the $20 per book is unrealistic because some of them only make 0 sales and some of them make 50 sales. So now you've got some that's earning 0, and let's say 10 of them earn 0, and 10 of them earn $10, and 10 of them earn $20, and 10 of them earn $50 a month. So now you've got 10, 20, $70 a month from your 40 books. But it adds up over time, right? Instead of averaging $800 a month, In that scenario, 30 of them are selling, and between them, you're averaging about $600 a month. Okay? No, no. About $800 a month. Same $800 a month, but only 30 of your 40 books are selling. Okay? If you can focus on short problem solution nonfiction books, most people listening to the sound of my voice right now can write one in a couple days and publish it. But it comes back down to persistence and commitment to your goal. You have a goal. You want to make $500 a month, or you want to make $2,000 a month, and you know that the more opportunities you give people to buy something from you, to buy a book from you, the more money you're going to make. So you commit yourself to putting as many buy buttons on Amazon as you possibly can. And so you figure out, how much do I want to make? And let's average this out to $20 per month per book, just for sake of argument. And we know that some will be less and some will be more. And let's just say, if your goal is to make $500 a month and you're averaging $20 a book, then you need to produce 25 books, right? If your goal is to make $2,000 a month and you're making an average of $20 per book, then you need to have 100 books in play. So how long is it going to take you to produce 100 books? If we're talking 2,000 word books in the Kindle short reads, we're only talking, let's see, 2,000 words and 100 books. We're talking about 200,000 words. How long is it going to take you to write that? How much can you commit each day? Can you only commit 1 hour or 2 hours? If you're writing 250 words an hour, let's just say 200 words an hour, you only need to invest 1,000 hours to get you to that point where you have 100 short reads on Kindle. And so some of the books I produce are short reads, 1 to 11 minutes. And I produced one a couple weeks ago that, or actually 6 weeks ago. It took me a day and a half to write. It was 28 pages. And that particular book has already generated over $100 earning, okay? In only 6 weeks, right? So, I'm not getting rich from that book, but I am making money from that book. And if I would just devote myself to creating more buy buttons, I could make more money. So that's what I want you to take away from this. Let's not look at producing a novel. Let's look at producing short books that help people solve problems. If you want to know what problems people have, listen. If you want to know what questions people need answered, go to a website like Quora, or go to a forum and see what questions people are answering. Maybe your specialty is dogs. Go over to a dog forum, see what kinds of questions people are asking. Maybe you know golf really well. Go to a golf forum and listen. What kind of questions are people answering? Go to Facebook. See what kind of questions people are always posing on Facebook. And you'll notice there's patterns. When it's never a situation of one person asks one particular question. Once you realize that question's out there in the wild, you're going to start noticing everywhere people are asking the same question, which tells you that there are people out there, there's enough people out there to justify that you are now going to write this book, okay? Maybe you're teaching people how to use WordPress. Man, think about that. WordPress is available online There's hundreds of thousands of sites built on WordPress, but people have questions. And somebody needs to answer those questions. And maybe they don't want to buy it. Maybe you put it in Kindle Unlimited and get paid on page reads. And maybe they are willing to pay 99 cents for your book. See what I'm saying? There's so many questions out there that people want to ask. When I recall when our first child was born, he would scream bloody murder every time he pooed himself. And we would open up his diaper. Now he's got diaper rash. And what's the problem here? Well, he's allergic to juice. He's very sensitive skin and allergic to juice. And I had to go to the doctor to figure that out because I'm slow. I'm from Oklahoma. What can I say? Right? So he was allergic to juice and it was burning his skin. So we took him off of juice until he was like 3 years old, and he never had another problem like that again. Maybe somebody has questions about relationships. Maybe you're good with relationships, right? Maybe there's 100 things you're probably good at. Maybe at your job, you hear people coming into the store all the time and asking the same questions over and over. Maybe you write a book that puts those questions, your answers, into book format, and you put it up on Kindle as a Kindle short read. And whether it makes $100 a month or $20 a month, it doesn't matter, because you're going to stack those books up so you can have more income generating properties. Okay? So think about what you can produce in a short window of time. Don't worry about producing the next great novel. Worry about finding something that you could create quickly. Now, with fiction, there's a lot of people out there doing flash fiction. And basically the concept behind flash fiction is you're given an idea and you're going to write for 2 hours and there's your story. And maybe you decide that you're going to do all short stories. So you put up one short story and publish it. Then you put up a second short story and publish it. And a third short story. And some of the greatest writers in the world got their starts with short story. Neil Gaiman said he did a lot of short stories when he first got started. And there are other, Lester Dent, he got his start doing short stories. And back in the 50s, that was the going thing, because magazines would publish fiction work. So a lot of people did short stories. And whole industries were built around short stories. And the same thing applies with the nonfiction. We don't have to go long in order to produce a product that people enjoy. Because that's what it all comes down to. Will people appreciate the book you've made available? The reality is you can give a whole lot of value in 2,000 words if you are motivated to do so. And that's what people need in the books that you produce. They want to get the value from it. If it's a nonfiction, it's a problem solution. They have a problem, you have a solution. If it's fiction, the goal is to escape. So they can go into this fantasy world where X, Y, and Z happens, and if they enjoy the journey, then they love the story. So that's what I'm encouraging people to do. Don't worry about writing a novel. Don't worry about writing a full-length book. A full-length book could take you 4, 5, 6 months. It may even take you several years. And in the meantime, you need to make money. So hone your craft with a short story. Hone your craft with a short nonfiction. And create buy buttons. Create lots and lots of buy buttons. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. My name is Bill Platt. You can go to billplattforauthors.com and sign up for my mailing list. I'm always sending out educational pieces in my email list. Or you can click down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. and they will notify you when I have new videos available. So going forward, I'm going to cover a whole lot of different topics along the way. Anything from writing to publishing to promoting your books. And you'll notice a certain theme that kind of follows through all this. I've been doing this stuff for a long, long time. I've been writing for money since 2001. And I actually did writing before that, and I was published before that. But I've been doing it almost as a dedicated commitment since 2001, and I've done it without a job since 2005, okay? So stick around, watch videos. You'll find a lot of great training on this video channel. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in. My name is Bill Platt. Until next time.